Of the world. To the heart of innovation, this is Opportunities to Consider with your host, author, speaker, and corporate strategist, Hunter Gaylor.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Market Hunters podcast. I am your host, Hunter Gaylor. Thank you for joining. We have a very exciting program coming to you today. We are going to be joined by the CEO, Kim from Cyber Envirotech. We're going to be talking about some very interesting innovations that are happening in the oil and gas sector and many other sectors as well, which was very interesting to learn. And I think you'll enjoy the conversation as well. But a quick couple of housekeeping. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. We are really growing rapidly there. And also we're streaming across multiple platforms. Our LinkedIn, the American Wallet segment, which is what this segment is, where we're interviewing and having conversations with the executives that make the industry move forward, because we like to go and talk exactly to those people that are leading the company so that we can ask the questions and you can get the information that you need to give you just the research and the overall information on what's going to help make better investment because you're hearing it straight from the leaders of the company. So we always appreciate that. So make sure you like and subscribe. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in Kim. Kim is joining us. Kim, thank you for being on the program today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I know you're coming to us live from Istanbul, Turkey. So if we have any technical issues, we'll try to reset and come back, and then we'll keep airing it. But hopefully it'll just be smooth and a good conversation. So Kim, I want to start just kind of from the beginning, a little bit about your background. Tell us a little bit about Cyber Envirotech. I know you're innovative leaders in water science technology, and we hear a lot about water science technology. We hear about desalination and purification and all of these terms that are thrown around. But from your perspective, tell us what the company is, and we'll dive into it from there.
It's interesting how companies evolve. Like you mentioned, we're a water science technology company, and we aggregate technologies from around the world. And we have developed a water filtration system that with some of the latest technologies, some of the technologies that aren't even being used in the United States at this time. And so what we decided to do in implementing our technology, we decided to first go into the oil industry. The reason why is oil is basically a byproduct of, oil is a byproduct of the water that's produced from the wells. For every barrel of oil, you might get anywhere from 3 to 8 barrels of water. The water's contaminated. There's issues you can't put on the ground. Usually it has high brine, among other contaminants. It would kill the cattle. It could kill the plants. So they have to dispose of the water. Many times you'll inject it down inside the well. So what we thought we would do is we would start out using our technology to clean the water. There's billions and billions of barrels of water that are produced. In fact, just in the state of Texas alone, they actually did about 4.4 billion barrels of water that they injected into the ground that could have been repurposed into the community. So our objective is to clean it. From an environmental standpoint, of course, that's a good thing, and to repurpose it and to bring it back to the community and for agriculture and things like that, rather than injecting it into the ground, is a big deal. As we moved forward as a company, and as we evolved, by enhancing our technology, we realized that as we pulled the water out and cleaned it, that likewise we could strip oil out of the water that was being put down the saltwater disposal wells. You might pull another 3 or 5, maybe even up to 10% oil out of the water. And of course, it's $70, $80 a barrel. If you're doing that every day, if you're doing 100, 200, 300 barrels of oil a day just in cleaning the water, of course, you've got a great revenue stream you build up there. Sure. As we continue to work on our technology, we realized that capably we could go in and take sludge, which is a byproduct of when you refine the oil. You have the sludge, which has hazardous waste, and we were able to extract up to 90% oil out of the sludge of the waste, and at the same time completely eliminate the hazmat material. So the refineries no longer had to pay to have it hauled off, but we literally would destroy it, and we would it's what we call, it's a waste to waste your waste. And to the refineries, it's not only a waste, but it's a liability, and we can turn that into an income stream.
That's good. I like that. So from the revenue model, let's just break down the revenue model for a little bit, because you're covering several different aspects of this, right? So as a byproduct of going through your water treatment, you're now actually also getting, are you increasing the potential barrel of oils that you're getting? So as we see the price of oil increase, that's obviously increasing your revenues, correct?
Well, actually, it's not increasing necessarily the production. I can go into that a little bit later of how we increase the production, but we're actually taking the water that they're eliminating or getting rid of, and we're not only cleaning it, but we're extracting the oil that's left in there out of it for resale. So once again, that's additional revenue to the oil companies, and of course to us, because otherwise they're just throwing it away.
So talk to me a little bit about what that means from an environmental perspective. I know we talk a lot about in the marketplace now, ESG, and, not to go political here, but we do talk about Green New Deal and solar and some of these things. But if you're cleaning and you're having better recycling technologies, it would seem to me that it's a natural progression that more people would start adopting this type of technology because of the potentially very positive impacts that you're producing. As you said earlier in our conversations, some of the harmful things that you could end up in the water supply and that the cattle are eating, et cetera. So it seems to me like this is really a very ripe blue ocean for growth.
It is. First of all, the water industry and the issues with water, it's massive. It's everywhere, worldwide. We obviously know that there's a problem. There's a lot of companies out there that are capable of cleaning the water. But when you start to get into industrial wastewater or the water that comes from the production of oil, it gets a little more technical. When you're dealing with some pretty dangerous materials. For example, one thing that comes out of the well is what they call NORM, naturally occurring radioactive material. We can take care of that. We can clean that. H2S. And many other contaminants. So really, although it's a broad industry, we focused on oil because there's such a great need, and because there's so much water that's just being dumped into the disposal wells. Let me go back and give you an example. In the state of Texas, they're obviously having water issues or water shortages, and because of all the Californians and other people moving into the state, they capably can't service all of the people with the growth that's continuing and the water that they have. However, as I mentioned earlier, in 2020, they dumped 4.4 billion barrels of water into these injection wells. And of course, they have to go deep enough so it doesn't affect or contaminate any of the aquifers. But what if they could actually take that water, run it through our system? We can clean the hazardous or the contaminated material and get rid of it. It's gone. We don't even have to haul it off and bury it. Oh, wow. And then they could turn around and we could extract what oil might be left in the water, which of course is a revenue stream. And then what we do is we repurpose that water either back to the oil companies for the injection into the wells, which of course maintains the pressure and they can keep the production going. But it's now clean water. The contaminants are taken out. Or we could create ag water for the farmers, or we could turn that into potable water and run it into the municipalities based on the cities and what their issues are. So our objective isn't to go work with municipalities and to clean the sewage water, the city water that's coming in. What we're doing is we're taking the excess water that comes out of the wells, and we just want to repurpose it back into the community. So from an environmental standpoint, of course, you avoid the risk of contaminating aquifers. You're also, once again, environmentally, once it's cleaned and repurposed back into the community or back into the field and back into the wells, you've eliminated that issue. So there's a lot of benefits environmentally and to the community and to the states. And it becomes very profitable because the oil companies have to pay to get rid of that, to have that water trucked out. and then they have to pay to have it taken to the disposal wells and injected down into the ground. Well, now with the oil we extract, if we create a revenue sharing program with the oil companies, we can, reduce that cost. And, of course, now it becomes a revenue stream to them. And our business model, of course, is it's a revenue stream to us as well.
So it seems to be in the oil and gas industry, it's a paradigm changing impact for the oil and gas industry in general. And there's a couple of points that you had said. Obviously, of high water usage, highly contaminated. You have the new laws with EPA. It's expensive to truck water. You have all the hydrodynamics that you're dealing with. So really, where do you see your company positioned from a market perspective? This is the American Wallet, so we do care about really what it means. You are publicly traded, and for anyone following, their stock symbol is CETI. We'll make sure we put that. It's also in the lower third, so you can check that out as well. But talk to us a little bit about where you see the growth of that market happening. Are you just focused on the Texas market? Or are you going to be moving into other states? Talk to us a little bit about kind of the landscape, no pun intended, but talk to us about the economic landscape of where you see the growth of the company occurring for the investors that are looking for that 3 to 5 year growth model.
That's a good question. And let me mention that there's about, close between 8,000 and 9,000 saltwater disposal wells just in the state of Texas. Yes, that's a market we can go into. It would take us years and years and years to even dent that market. However, the bigger market and the bigger revenue for us, and what we're interested in, is where we can actually take these sludge ponds and take the sludge that the oil refineries have and need to get rid of, and are actually paying a lot of money to get rid of, where we can come in there, set up our equipment on site, and we can take that sludge and we can run it through our system and recycle it back. Now imagine our machines are doing 2,000 barrels a day. Imagine if only 80% of that we were able to convert to sellable oil. You're talking about a lot of production, a lot of money that's just being wasted. And we would do a revenue share with the refineries, but opposed to them having to pay to have it shipped off and having the liability of having hazmat material on site. And of course, once again, you have to pay to get rid of that. Right. We can turn around and turn it into a revenue stream. So actually, the bigger revenue stream for our company is coming from the oil refineries. That becomes an international application. They have a lot of issues here in the Middle East, which is what brings me here now. Basically every oil refinery, whether it be Pemex in South America, whether it be there in Canada, throughout the United States, I believe there's about 136 oil refineries just in the United States. If we were just to slightly dent the market, and if you were to take the time privately and just run the numbers on that, if we just had one machine doing 2,000 barrels of sludge a day, and 80% of that, or call it 1,500 barrels of oil a day at $80 a barrel, imagine if you had 10 refineries and you're getting 1,500 barrels of oil a day per refinery, the kind of revenue that means to the company. It wouldn't take many refineries and saltwater disposal companies for us to basically be a multi-billion-dollar company.
The numbers are staggering to me, Ken, because when I look at this and I see, if you can significantly lower the OPEX and the CAPEX for your clients, that's a significant game changer for them. Now, when we look at what's going on in the Middle East, I want to shift over, because obviously your target primary markets that we've talked about is the oil and gas industry, but they're the subsidiary secondary markets that you're able to target: agriculture, dairy farms, feedlots, mining, small municipalities, as you mentioned. Even if we just focus, like you said, on the refineries, and you look at all of the development, and you look at the Saudi Aramcos of the world, and you look at how they only took a very small portion of their company to be one of the biggest IPOs out there when they went public, because of the size of the market. When you look at the costs associated with having to truck out the water, just trucking out the water, and you're able to come in and really kind of just lower the total, supply chain, if you will, right? And create a more efficient and effective management of the supply chain. I mean, we're talking multi-billion-dollar market cap within a very, very short period of time, it would seem to me.
That's correct. And our capital costs, when we come into a refinery or when we're working with SWD, are quite low in comparison to the revenue generated. The recurring revenue is what's important, because that creates stability and medium and long-term growth for the company. And then we just continue to build on that. But it doesn't matter whether it's in the Middle East or whether it's in Canada or the United States. It's significant revenue. And when we go into a refinery, we don't ask them to put up any money. We actually bring the equipment in. We have our own staff. We operate it. We do it all on site. And so it really isn't costing them anything. But then when they calculate the money saved and the revenue share from the oil produced from the sludge that we've cleaned up, it represents millions and millions of dollars coming back to the refineries. And I'm not going to go into it, but our ability to clean the refineries, to clean the coke stacks and the tanks and all the other equipment in there for a fraction of the time, which to do it, it's the chemicals that they use and the downtime in cleaning it. And let me mention, everything that we use is biochemicals, biotechnology. We do not use any chemicals to do this. Between our machines and our biotechnologies that we're doing, that's it. No chemicals whatsoever. So environmentally, this is a big issue.
Well, I want to get, understanding the size of the marketplace, and obviously, given what's going on in the market, when I give a Monday market update for the American Wallet, and we talk about really some of the big deals that are going on in industry and how it's affecting, we the taxpayer, if you will, or the investor. And when we just recently witnessed a lot of conversations because of the wars that have been going on with Ukraine and the wars that are going on in the Middle East right now with Israel and Gaza, et cetera, et cetera. We always go and we look at what's going to happen with the price of oil, right? And then we go and we look at some of the news where Hess and Chevron just created one of the largest mergers for an oil and gas company. Given your position as CEO of the company, I'd like to know a little bit about your background in how, coming into this type of industry, that you've been able to set up an organization that most people would say you'd have to be localized. Why aren't you focused just in Texas or Arizona or California, or why not just work in Canada? But the fact that you have the ability to almost come into any place in really the world, apply the technologies and these cost saving matters, it would seem like you're spread thin, but in reality, you've created a system that's been able to address all of the problems, no matter whether the refinery is in the Middle East or whether it's in the south part of Texas. Walk us through the supply chain and how you were able to do that, one. And then two, I'd like to get your thoughts after that on the global oil market, because I think a lot of people want to hear from the people working in the industry on, is it going to be rising gas prices? I mean, it would seem to me that if you're able to do some of these things with these big refineries, it's going to potentially lower my cost at the pump. Would that be potentially correct in saying, or are the oil companies just going to make more and more billions of dollars? I mean,
what's funny is I don't think it would affect the price of oil and gas in the slightest, even if we saved them tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a year, which of course it wouldn't be in the hundreds, but even if we did, I don't believe that would affect the price of oil and gas in the slightest. The politics and the dynamics behind how they price it is a little bit different, but our ability to go into these markets right now, we're an early stage company and a high growth company, and my focus right now is on revenue. That's all I care about. And so right now we are taking on the contracts and working with the companies that will not only prove out our technology, but will get us to revenue in the shortest period of time. And from there, it'll just continue to build exponentially. We're going to have some challenges growing. But the thing I like about the industry is, first of all, I don't care who wins office. I don't care who you vote for politically. As it comes to cleaning water, as it comes to the environment, we're always going to be needed. It's important. Also, in the industry that we're in, yeah, we have some great technologies, and because it's biotechnology, that's a good thing. But eventually other companies are going to come along that are perhaps capable of doing what we do. I don't believe there's any right now in the world that can capably do what we do at the level that we do it, but they could be coming along. But the market is so huge that in lifetimes we couldn't address or manage the issues that they're having. And not only that, once you think you've solved it, because they're producing every day in the refineries, the average refinery is doing between 120 and 150,000 barrels of oil a day that they're refining. If 1% of that is sludge, which it's sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little lower, but let's use the number of 1%, that's still 1,500 barrels of sludge a day. So not only do we have to clean up what's sitting in tanks all over the world and in sludge ponds, I mean huge ponds in the Middle East that have, in some cases, millions and millions of barrels of oil sitting there, sludge that they don't know what to do with. If it leaks into the aquifers, they have a problem. If
Right.
it, because the airborne pathogen, so to speak, or if you breathe it, you've got a problem, and it's going to create disease and sickness. Our capabilities of coming in, even if we put our system next to a giant sludge lake that's been there for 20 years, we can capably clean it up, extract 80 to 90% oil out of there, sellable oil. And then when we're done, we can capably clean up the oil sands and get the oil out of the sands and bring it back to just, a desert, a clean desert, so to speak.
I mean, it really is. And I like that point that you brought up. And I talk with, we have a lot of, executives on the program. And what I like is when we identify investment targets and we start going in depth and learning about the companies and having these series of interviews that we do, where we start learning more and more and more about the industry, and we start going deeper and deeper. It's always good to know, because when new political regimes come in and come out, you're not affected, which is very good. And so even when things break out, we see the market react. But something like this, where you said revenues, I think that's very important for people to understand. So Kim, thank you so much. I'll give you the last 30 seconds here if there's anything that you want to share with the audience, or anything that we can be expecting of some good news, or maybe contracts that you can share. But I'll give you the final closing thoughts here.
Well, from a contract standpoint, you can wait and watch our press releases. They come out. We're working with some awfully big refineries, and we're working with SWDs. We have some other things going, that are going to make a difference. We are going to experience growing pains, but we have some incredible strategic partners. My co-founder, TJ Agardi, incredible, brilliant engineer. And it's because of him and the team that he's worked with that we've been able to develop and create what we have. It didn't happen overnight. It's taken us years to develop it. But we've got other strategic partners who have been in the industry for years. We've got strategic partners in just from a corporate management standpoint that have managed, Fortune 100s. We have other people, for example, Marcus Miller, who is a professor at Texas Tech University, and pretty much a who's who in Texas as it pertains to agriculture, dairy farms, feedlots, meat packing plants. Everybody knows who he is, and having him on board. And that's another aspect of our business we haven't talked about. Perhaps we can do another time. But from the food industry, that's a huge component of our business. But right now, we're just trying to stay focused, get to the quickest form of revenue, and start growing there. And then we'll spin off into some of these other areas that could be just as significant as the water and the oil that we're working with.
Well, Kim, I very much appreciate you coming on to the program. I look forward to having more of these conversations and diving into some of these subsections that we can go into to start understanding the technology and the marketability, and really just the overall benefits I think we can talk about, which is obviously a big game changer. So Kim, thank you so much for joining the American Wild. We look forward to having you back. And
thank you for allowing me to come on on your show.
No, anytime. We look forward to having you back very soon. Okay. Thank you, Kim. You have a great day. Thank you. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was another that was another American Wallet CEO talk. I'm your host, Hunter, and CETI is the trading symbol, so make sure you take a look at that. Very interesting things. And this is what we like on the program. We want to be able to bring you the conversation so you can hear it from the people that are actually in the fields working. And there's a lot of incredible impact that they're going to have in the marketplace. As we talked about, they're going after the oil and gas industry. High water usage, highly contaminated. So there is a big, as he said, you can crunch some of the numbers. So when you start looking at it from an investment perspective, we're definitely seeing potentially a lot of green on the screen, which could be very, very good. So interesting revenue model. And, like I said, we'll have him back on the program. Again, make sure if you missed this episode, you can go back and watch it on our LinkedIn channel and on our YouTube channel. This will also be, I'll be writing up an article that I'll be publishing in the American Wallet newsletter that will go out. And so make sure you follow that. That'll be on LinkedIn. Sign up for that, and we'll start diving into the technology on what it means for the oil and gas sector. And we saw what he said. So regardless of certain political administrations that are in or things that are happening around the world, as you said, or as you heard straight from the leadership, they've got very strong leadership. They've got very strong technical capabilities, a very strong management team, an advisory board, hundreds of thousands of stripper wells. This is a great opportunity for them. So it's going to be very interesting to follow them. We're going to keep talking about some of the things that their unique attributes, what it provides, how it provides, what they're doing in their network. We're going to follow the CEO along. Revenues is what he said. So, this is the point of the American Wallet. We appreciate you joining. Stay safe, everyone, and make sure you like and subscribe and follow across all of our channels, and share this with your friends as well, because if you like this, leave us a note. All the information will be in the description below, and we look forward to having you back joining us for another edition of Markets Hunters. This is the special, the American Wallet.